I walked into my condo and found my sister unboxing her belongings. She smirked. "Relax, we're roommates now." So I pulled out the deed, handed it to the officers, and said I believe she's a break-in suspect. I literally just got home from what was supposed to be a 5-day business trip to Seattle. Cut short because our client postponed the final meetings. Let me give you some background first because context matters here. I'm a software engineer who worked my butt off through college, graduated with honors, and landed a great job at a tech firm. 2 years ago, I finally saved enough to buy my own condo in a decent part of the city. Nothing fancy, but it's mine. I paid the down payment myself. I pay the mortgage myself, and I've never asked my parents Stephen and Linda for a dime since I turned 18. My sister Vanessa 27F is the complete opposite. She dropped out of college twice, can't hold a job for more than 6 months, and has been living with our parents rent-free her entire adult life. They enable her completely. Pay her credit cards, buy her clothes, give her spending money. The few times she's had her own apartment, she's either been evicted or had to move back home within a year. Last month, she apparently had another fight with our parents about needing her space, and has been sleeping on various friends' couches. I gave my parents a spare key to my condo for emergencies only. I made this crystal clear. Emergencies only, like if I'm traveling and there's a pipe burst, or if something happens to me and they need access. I trusted them. That was my mistake. My flight landed at 2 p.m. instead of Friday evening as originally planned. I didn't tell anyone I was coming back early because frankly, I was exhausted and just wanted to go home, order takeout, and binge Netflix. But when I got to my building, I noticed my designated parking spot was taken by Vanessa's car. Weird, I thought, but maybe she was visiting my parents and parked in the wrong spot by mistake. Then I got to my door. It was unlocked. Not just unlocked, wide open with boxes stacked in the hallway. My heart started racing. My first thought was that I was being robbed. I grabbed my phone, ready to call 911, and carefully peered inside. What I saw made my blood boil in a way I've never experienced before. Vanessa was in my bedroom hanging her clothes in my closet. My clothes were in garbage bags on the floor. My parents were in the living room, Stephen assembling what looked like a new desk, while Linda was removing my gaming setup from the entertainment center, replacing it with Vanessa's collection of reality TV DVDs. I stood there for maybe 10 seconds, trying to process what I was seeing. Then Vanessa noticed me. Instead of looking guilty or surprised, she rolled her eyes and said, "I kid you not. Oh, great. You're back early. Mom said you wouldn't be home until Friday night. Can you help me move your stuff to the hall closet? This bedroom has better light for my makeup vanity." I lost it not physically, but verbally. I demanded to know what the hell they were doing in my home. My mother, Linda, tried to play mediator with her usual manipulative tactics. "Now, Marcus, don't be dramatic. Vanessa needs a stable place to stay and you have 2 bedrooms. You're hardly ever here anyway with all your travel. Family helps family. 2 bedrooms. I have a 2-bedroom condo. Yes. The second bedroom is my home office where I have $15,000 worth of computer equipment for my work. The setup that allows me to work from home when I'm not traveling. The job that pays for this place." Stephen jumped in with, "Son, you need to learn to share. You've always been selfish with your things. Vanessa is going through a tough time, and as her brother, you should be happy to help." Selfish? I'm selfish. I put myself through college working 3 jobs. I've never asked them for anything. Meanwhile, they've probably spent over $100,000 enabling Vanessa's failure to launch over the past decade. Vanessa then had the audacity to say, "It's not like you were using the space properly anyway. A single guy doesn't need all this room. I've already told my friends this is my new address. I'm having a housewarming party this weekend, a housewarming party in my condo that I pay $2,800 a month for between mortgage, HOA, and property taxes. I told them all to get out immediately." Linda started crying, saying I was being cruel and unreasonable. Stephen said I was acting like a child and that they were disappointed in my lack of family values. Vanessa straight up laughed and said, "You can't kick me out. I have a key, and Mom and Dad said I could live here. I already changed my address with the DMV. This is my legal residence now." That's when I realized this wasn't a spur-of-the-moment thing. This was planned. They waited until I was gone, used the emergency key I trustingly gave them, and tried to move my sister into my home without my knowledge or consent. The change of address with the DMV, that means this has been in the works for at least a week. I pulled out my phone and started recording. I told them they had 15 minutes to get everything of Vanessa's out of my home, or I was calling the police. Stephen actually puffed up his chest and said, "You wouldn't dare call the cops on your own family. Want to bet." I'm typing this from my bedroom after I made sure to check that nothing of mine is missing. Vanessa's stuff is still here because they refuse to leave. They're currently in my living room with Linda calling relatives to tell them how horrible I'm being, trying to get people on their side. Stephen is on the phone with someone, I think maybe a lawyer friend of his, asking about tenant rights. and whether Vanessa's DMV address change means anything. The level of betrayal I feel right now is indescribable. They violated my trust, invaded my home, and tried to force my sister into my space. And they're acting like I'm the bad guy. Vanessa is scrolling through her phone on my couch, occasionally smirking at me and making comments like, "I hope you're not this uptight when my friends come over, and we should probably set up a chore schedule since we're roommates now." Roommates. Roommates in my own home. I'm done being nice. I'm done being understanding. They want to play games. Let's play. Update 1. The police are here. It's been 2 hours since my original post. I called the non-emergency police line, explained the situation, and 2 officers arrived about 30 minutes ago. The look on my parents' faces when they saw the police at the door was priceless. Vanessa immediately started her victim act, crying about how I was throwing my disabled sister out on the street. She's not disabled. She just claims anxiety whenever she needs to avoid responsibility. Linda went into full mother bear mode, telling the officers that this was a family dispute, and they had no right to interfere. Stephen tried the reasonable approach, explaining that they had permission to be here since they had a key. The older officer, Officer Rodriguez, was having none of it. He asked me simple questions. Do I own this condo? Yes. Here's my deed and mortgage statements. Did I give Vanessa permission to move in? Absolutely not. Did I give my parents permission to move her in? No. They had a key for emergencies only. Then he turned to Vanessa and asked if she had a lease agreement. Of course not. Any written permission from me? No. Any proof that I agreed to let her live here? Just her parents' word. Officer Rodriguez explained that what Vanessa did changing her address to my home without my permission could actually be considered fraud. And my parents, by using the emergency key for non-emergency purposes, were technically guilty of criminal trespass since I'd made it clear they were no longer welcome and they refused to leave. The younger officer went to examine Vanessa's belongings. That's when things got interesting. He found some of my items mixed in with her boxes, my Nintendo Switch from the living room, several of my books, and this really pissed me off, my late grandfather's watch that I kept in my nightstand. Vanessa claimed she was just packing them for safekeeping, but the officer noted it looked a lot like theft. Stephen tried to de-escalate, saying they would leave peacefully if I just calmed down, but Officer Rodriguez informed me that at this point it wasn't just up to me. They had witnessed potential criminal activity. Vanessa was actually arrested for criminal trespass and attempted theft. The look of shock on her face as they put her in handcuffs was something I'll remember forever. She kept screaming that I was ruining her life, that I was a terrible brother, that she'd make sure everyone knew what kind of person I am. Linda became hysterical, screaming at me that I was destroying the family, that she'd never forgive me for this. Stephen said I was dead to him, that no real man would do this to his baby sister. They followed the police car to the station, but not before Linda turned to me with pure venom in her eyes and said, "You're going to regret this. We're going to make sure everyone knows exactly what kind of son you are." The apartment is quiet now. Vanessa's boxes are still here. The police said I need to keep them for at least 30 days and go through proper channels if she doesn't collect them. I've already started the process of getting a restraining order, and I've called a locksmith to come first thing tomorrow morning. I'm also installing a security system with cameras. My phone has been blowing up with messages from extended family. Apparently, Linda has been calling everyone, telling them I had Vanessa arrested for visiting me. I've gotten calls calling me everything from ungrateful to psychotic. My cousin Jennifer texted me that I'm not welcome at Christmas anymore. My Aunt Patricia left me a voicemail saying she's ashamed to be related to me. You know what, good? If they want to side with people who literally tried to steal my home, they can all get lost. I've worked too hard to get where I am to let anyone, family or not, walk all over me. Tomorrow, I'm also calling a lawyer about the fraudulent address change and exploring my options for a civil suit. Play stupid games, win stupid prizes. Update 2, the aftermath. 1 week later. I wanted to wait a few days before updating to let the dust settle, but things have escalated in ways I never imagined. First, Vanessa was released on bail the same night. Of course, my parents paid it, but the charges weren't dropped. The prosecutor is actually taking this seriously, especially the theft charge, since there was clear evidence she was taking my belongings. Her court date is set for next month. The restraining order was granted temporarily. The judge was particularly concerned about the premeditated nature of the incident. The DMV address change proved this wasn't a spur-of-the-moment decision, but a calculated plan. My parents are also included in the restraining order after they showed up at my workplace on Monday. Yes, you read that right. They came to my workplace. I was in a meeting when our receptionist Ashley interrupted to say my parents were in the lobby demanding to speak with me and refusing to leave. I had to get security involved. They were escorted out while Linda screamed that I was a sociopath who destroyed his own sister's future. Several of my coworkers witnessed this, including my boss, Richard. Thankfully, Richard was understanding when I explained the situation, but how mortifying. Here's where it gets interesting. Vanessa's address change has caused her massive problems. See, she'd been collecting unemployment benefits, and you're required to report address changes. When they investigated why she changed her address to a luxury condo, My building is considered luxury for the area. They discovered some discrepancies in her claims. Turns out she'd been doing cash work under the table while collecting benefits. Now she's under investigation for unemployment fraud. My parents, in their infinite wisdom, decided to escalate things further. They went to a lawyer not to deal with Vanessa's criminal charges, but to try to force me to let her live in my condo. Their claim: since they gave me $500 for my birthday 5 years ago, and $1,000 when I graduated college, they have invested in my life and should have a say in how I use my property. Their lawyer dropped them after reviewing the case. Apparently, he told them they were lucky I wasn't suing them for conspiracy, and that they should be focusing on Vanessa's defense, not trying to steal their son's property. But the rail kicker came yesterday. I got a call from my building's HOA president, Robert. Apparently, Vanessa had somehow gotten a copy of the key. I'm guessing she made one when my parents had it and tried to enter the building on Wednesday afternoon. She was caught on camera trying to access my unit, clearly violating the restraining order. When security confronted her, she claimed she lived there and I was illegally evicting her. Security called the police. Vanessa was arrested again, this time for violating a restraining order. My parents' reaction: they're now telling family that I'm trying to have Vanessa imprisoned because I'm jealous of her. Jealous of someone who's 27, unemployed, facing fraud charges, and just got arrested twice in 1 week. The family reaction has been mixed, but interesting. After the initial wave of angry messages, some relatives started reaching out privately to get my side. My cousin Thomas, who I've always been close with, called me after Vanessa tried to borrow $5,000 from him for legal fees because Marcus is trying to destroy her. He said her story kept changing and didn't make sense, so he wanted the truth. When I sent him the security footage of them moving her stuff into my condo while I was gone, and the police report showing she'd stolen my belongings, he was furious, not at me, but at them. He's been spreading the real story to other family members. And slowly, some are starting to see the truth. My uncle Charles Stephen's brother called me yesterday. He said this was the final straw in a pattern he'd seen for years. My parents enabling Vanessa to the point of criminality. He told me about several incidents I didn't know about, including them paying off a store owner after Vanessa was caught shoplifting and covering up a hidden run she committed last year. The security system is now fully installed. I have cameras covering every entrance, and my door has a smart lock that records every entry attempt. I've also installed cameras inside, completely legal since it's my property. After discovering some of my valuable electronics were missing, items Vanessa must have taken during previous visits when I wasn't home. My lawyer is preparing a civil suit for damages, including the cost of a security system, locksmith legal fees, and the missing items. She says I have a strong case, especially with the evidence of premeditation. Oh, and remember Vanessa's housewarming party she was planning? Well, she apparently didn't cancel it. Several people showed up at my building on Saturday night expecting a party. Security turned them away and added them to the do not admit list. One of them, a guy named Brian, messaged me on Facebook, apologizing, saying Vanessa had told everyone she'd inherited the condo from a dead relative. Inherited from a dead relative while I'm very much alive and living in it. The delusion is strong with this one. Update 3 legal consequences. 1 month later, the criminal cases are moving forward, and the consequences are starting to hit hard. Vanessa's first court appearance was a disaster for her. She showed up in clubwear, apparently thinking her charm would work on the judge like it does on our parents. The judge was not amused. She pleaded not guilty to all charges, but her public defender looked defeated from the start. The security footage, the fraudulent DMV, changed the stolen items found in her possession, and her violation of the restraining order all paint a pretty clear picture. But here's where it gets worse for her. Remember the unemployment fraud investigation? Well, that's turned into its own criminal case. She was officially charged with fraud last week. The amount she illegally collected was over $15,000, which makes it a felony in our state. My parents hired a decent lawyer for her, probably spent their retirement savings on it. But even he told them, according to my uncle Charles, who heard it from Stephen, that the best he can do is try to get her a plea deal with minimal jail time. Jail time. Vanessa might actually go to jail. The civil suit is also proceeding. My lawyer subpoenaed their phone records and found text messages between my parents and Vanessa planning this whole thing. Some highlights. Linda to Vanessa: Marcus leaves Tuesday morning. We'll have you moved in by Wednesday. Once you're settled, it'll be too hard for him to kick you out. Stephen to Linda: should we change the locks? Linda: no. That might be illegal, but once V is living there, she'll have tenant rights. Vanessa to her friend Michelle: my pushover brother is about to learn you can't keep family out. My parents are giving me his apartment. He'll be mad, but he'll get over it like always. Like always. That phrase stuck with me. They've been taking advantage of my desire to keep the peace my entire life. The forensic accountant my lawyer hired also discovered something interesting. Remember those missing electronics Vanessa sold them? She sold my belongings on Facebook Marketplace and OfferUp. We found the listings complete with photos taken in my apartment. One buyer, Kevin, even came forward with receipts after I posted in a local community group looking for my stolen items. That's additional theft charges, and it bumps the total value stolen to over $5,000, making it grand theft another felony. My parents' situation isn't much better. While they're not facing criminal charges, the DA declined to prosecute them for conspiracy. The civil suit is going to hurt. Their homeowner's insurance is refusing to cover them because their actions were intentional. They're looking at potential damages of over $30,000 when you include my legal fees. The security system lost property and punitive damages. My lawyer is seeking for emotional distress. But the real consequences are social and familial. The family is completely divided. After Thomas spread the truth, including sharing the security footage and text messages, about 60% of the extended family has sided with me. The other 40% still think I'm overreacting. But even they're starting to distance themselves from my parents and Vanessa as more details come out. The best/worst part, Vanessa's mugshot made it to one of those local Crime Watch Facebook pages. Someone from her high school recognized her and shared it. Then someone else posted about how she'd scammed them out of $200 last year. Then another person claimed she'd stolen from their house party. It became a whole thread of people sharing their Vanessa stories. Stephen and Linda have become paras in their social circle. Linda was asked to leave her book club after showing up drunk and ranting about me. Stephen was told not to come back to his golf club after he got into a screaming match with another member who questioned his parenting. They've isolated themselves completely, spending all their time and money on Vanessa's defense. Last week I heard from my grandmother, my dad's mom, Patricia. She's 82 and hasn't been involved in the drama because my parents haven't told her, probably because they know she'd be on my side. She called me after hearing from Charles and said something that broke my heart. I always worried they were ruining that girl, but I never thought they'd try to ruin you too. Your grandfather would be ashamed of Stephen. That hit hard. My grandfather, whose watch Vanessa tried to steal, was the most honest, hard-working man I ever knew. He's the one who taught me the value of earning what you have. He'd be devastated to see what his son has become. Final update 3 months later. I wanted to give one final update to close this chapter of my life. Vanessa took a plea deal. She got 18 months probation for the trespassing and theft charges, 100 hours of community service, and has to pay me restitution of $8,000. The unemployment fraud case resulted in separate probation, and she has to pay back the $15,000 she stole from the state. Here's the thing about having 2 felony convictions on your record. It makes life really hard. Remember how she could never hold a job before? Now she can't even get one. Every background check comes back with red flags. Even McDonald's turned her down. The only job she could get was cash under the table house cleaning work, and she has to report that income now or risk violating her probation. But Kama wasn't done with her. Last month, Vanessa was caught shoplifting from Target. With her criminal record and being on probation, she's now looking at actual jail time. Her court date is next month, and her lawyer, public defender, this time my parents are out of money, says she'll likely serve at least 60 days. My parents' situation has completely imploded. The civil suit judgment came in at $42,000, including all damages and legal fees. They had to take out a second mortgage on their house to pay it. Stephen, who was planning to retire next year, had to push that back indefinitely. Linda had to go back to work at age 53 after being a housewife for 25 years. She's now working as the cashier at a grocery store. Their marriage is falling apart. Uncle Charles told me Stephen has been sleeping in the guest room for 2 months. They blame each other for enabling Vanessa and for the failed apartment takeover plan. Linda blames Stephen for not handling me better, while Stephen blames Linda for pushing the plan in the first place. The family divide has solidified. I've grown closer to the relatives who supported me, especially Thomas and Uncle Charles. We had a great Thanksgiving at Charles's house. About 20 family members attended, and it was drama-free. My parents and Vanessa weren't invited. I heard they spent Thanksgiving alone eating Chinese takeout because even Linda's sister Patricia refused to host them. As for me, I'm thriving. The security system gives me peace of mind. I've upgraded my home office setup since I no longer have to worry about family members stealing my equipment. I got a promotion at work, partly, Richard admitted, because of how professionally I handled the family drama that spilled into the office. I'm in therapy to deal with the years of manipulation and guilt tripping I endured, and it's been incredibly helpful. I've been dating someone, Amy, for about a month now. She knows the whole story. Hard to avoid when you have security cameras everywhere and have to explain why you don't speak to your family. She's been incredibly supportive and understanding. Her take on it: they tried to steal your home. You don't owe toxic people anything just because you share DNA. Last week, something interesting happened. I got a letter from Vanessa, not an apology. She's incapable of that. It was a demand that I write a letter to the judge asking for leniency in her shoplifting case because families should stick together. The audacity is still there even after everything. I didn't respond. Instead, I wrote a letter to the judge detailing her lack of remorse, her continued criminal behavior, and my concerns for public safety. I heard from the prosecutor that it was very helpful. My parents have tried reaching out through various channels. They sent messages through relatives, showed up at my gym. They were escorted out and even hired a private investigator to follow me. I got a restraining order extended. Every attempt at contact is just manipulation. No apology, no acknowledgement of wrongdoing, just demands that I stop this nonsense and remember my family duties. Family duties. That phrase makes me laugh now. Where were their duties when they tried to steal my home? Where were their duties when they enabled Vanessa's criminal behavior for years? Where were their duties when they chose their golden child over their son, who did everything right? I've learned something valuable through all of this. Family isn't about blood. It's about respect, trust, and mutual support. The relatives who stood by me, that's my family. My friends who supported me through this mess, that's my family. Amy, who's been my rock this past month, she's becoming family. As for Stephen, Linda, and Vanessa, they're just people I used to know. People who taught me valuable lessons about boundaries, self-respect, and the importance of standing up for yourself. The biometric locks I installed are a perfect metaphor. Only people I choose get access to my life now, and it's never been better. To anyone dealing with similar family dynamics, remember this. You don't owe anyone access to your life, your home, or your peace of mind just because they're family. Real family doesn't try to steal from you, manipulate you, or guilt you into accepting abuse. Real family respects your boundaries and celebrates your success instead of trying to exploit it. Stand your ground. Call the police if necessary. Get restraining orders. So if you have to do whatever it takes to protect yourself and what you've worked for, the temporary family drama is worth the long-term peace and self-respect. And to my parents and Vanessa, if you're somehow reading this, congratulations. You lost a son and brother who would have done anything for you if you just shown basic respect and human decency. Hope the failed apartment theft was worth it. I'm done with this chapter. Time to continue building my life surrounded by people who actually deserve to be in it.